Welcome to Justice or Just Us. Today we're comparing two cases that, on the surface, appear remarkably similar, but when it came time for sentencing, the outcomes were very different. Today's cases take us to Ohio. Let's begin with case 1, Karla Hopkins. Karla Hopkins worked in a position of trust as the school secretary at Maple Heights High School, located in Maple Heights, Ohio. As secretary, Hopkins was responsible for collecting dues, revenues, and fees from numerous school programs. At some point, that trust was broken. Between July 2017 and June 2018, Hopkins was accused of embezzling approximately $42,600 from various school programs, including class of 2018 dues and yearbook fees, auto tech funds, student council funds, flag drill team funds, book and ID badge fines. Now, let's be clear. This wasn't considered a misunderstanding. This was considered theft, a serious charge, the kind of charge that can change your life. Her case moved through the justice system like many others do. Charges were filed, evidence was reviewed, and eventually, she stood before a judge. When it came time for sentencing, the court made its decision. Karla Hopkins was sentenced to prison, not probation, not community supervision, not a warning. Prison. In May 2020, Hopkins was indicted on a single count of third-degree theft. The prosecutor requested a prison sentence between 9 and 12 months. But Judge Rick Bell sentenced Hopkins to 18 months in prison. And for a lot of people watching, that might feel expected. You steal that kind of money, you do time. That's how the system is supposed to work, right? But hold that thought.
We're going to be taking you to a live sentencing in downtown Cleveland. This is in regards to a high school secretary, Maple Heights High School, who has pleaded guilty to one theft in office of more than $40,000. The unfortunate side of this is that she was stealing money from the class of 2018. It was their senior class. It was things like dues and fees, auto tech funds, yearbook fees, student council funds, flag drill team funds, and book and ID fines. She has agreed as a part of this sentencing to a restitution of $42,600. Her name is Karla Hopkins. That is the woman you see there. Let's take you live into court.
Could you please apprise the court?
Thank you, Eric. Please the court. Judge Brady, the defendant pled to one count of theft in office at felony third degree.
This is not a rich school system. You've betrayed the public trust. You've betrayed these children's trust. And I understand, and I'm grateful that you're going on a journey here in order to better yourself. But even as your pastor would suggest and tell you, there has to be some consequences for your actions. And you have to be able to accept those. You compounded your actions by taking the pension fund money rather than paying it back to the children readily, like you should have. You pled guilty to a felony of the third degree. There's a possible sentence of up to 36 months in prison. There's also community control sanctions. The lowest amount of time if the court sends you to prison would be 9 months. The court is going to sentence you on this sole count, theft in office, a felony of the third degree, to a term of 18 months. The court is going to order that you pay restitution in the amount of $42,673.72.
Now we're going to look at another case. Same state, same type of crime, but a very different ending. Case 2, Debbie Bosworth. Debbie Bosworth was also in a position of trust. Bosworth was hired in 1997 as the village clerk for the Building and Utilities Department in Chagrin Falls, Ohio. In her role, she was responsible for processing payments, handling contractor registrations, managing building permits, making deposits, and overseeing additional accounting-related duties. And just like in the first case, that trust was broken. Bosworth was accused of stealing money as well, but this time, reports indicated the amount was much higher, more than $238,000. Let me be very clear. That's not a little more money. That's not twice as much money. That's almost 6 times the amount Karla Hopkins was accused of taking. When I first saw those numbers, I had to stop and read them again because I thought surely I had missed something. But the numbers were correct. In November 2019, village officials noticed financial discrepancies within the building and water departments. Investigators discovered irregularities between department bank accounts, accounting software records, and monthly reports submitted to the finance department. The information was forwarded to the Chagrin Falls Police Department for investigation. According to investigators, Bosworth stole cash from the water department and replaced the missing cash with checks intended for deposit into the building department's account. Authorities also alleged that she submitted falsified reports to conceal the missing funds. Then, as the allegations began to surface in December 2019, investigators said Bosworth altered records within the department's software system in another attempt to hide the theft. The investigation ultimately concluded that more than $238,000 had been embezzled between January 2000 and November 2019. That's nearly 20 years. 20 years. Bosworth was indicted on 22 counts, including 2 counts of theft in office, 13 counts of tampering with records, 7 counts of money laundering. She later entered a no contest plea to the 22-count indictment, and she faced a potential prison sentence of up to 3 years. So, what happened? Judge Holly Gallagher sentenced Bosworth to 2 years of probation. Probation, no prison sentence, no incarceration, just probation. And to this day, that outcome has left many people wondering why she wasn't held to the same standard as Karla Hopkins.
Assistant Prosecuting Attorney, Mr. James Gutierrez, and Edward Bridle. We're here today for purposes of sentencing. The record should reflect that Ms. Bosworth did plead guilty on June 23rd, 2020, or actually no contest, right? To all the counts in the indictment. Pled no contest, was found guilty by the court to all 21 counts in the indictment. Each of the counts are felonies of the 3rd degree. There is no presumption of prison and no presumption of probation. Okay, so again, the record should be clear that these are felonies of the 3rd degree. The law states that there is no presumption for prison and there is no presumption for probation. The law is neutral on a felony of the 3rd degree. Again, also the record should reflect that the defendant did take responsibility for each and every count by entering into pleas of no contest and did not enter into a plea negotiation with the state of Ohio. She did forfeit her pension and paid back the village of Chagrin Falls for the money stolen, as well as for the forensic accounting firm. I think it's important to realize that the mayor, in his letter to the court and to the defendant in this matter, first of all acknowledges that there is no monetary loss to the village of Chagrin Falls, nor does he request a prison sentence from this court. In taking all of the facts into consideration, as well as to the degree of felonies that the defendant did plead no contest to, I do find that she will be a good candidate for probation.
So let's lay this out clearly. 2 women, same state, same general category of offense of financial theft. One accused of stealing approximately $42,600 and is sentenced to 18 months in prison. One accused of stealing more than $238,000 over nearly 20 years, sentenced to probation. And this is where people start asking questions, not emotional questions, not loud questions, but real ones. Because this isn't about saying one deserved prison more than the other. It's about asking why the outcomes were so different in a system that's supposed to be consistent. Because justice is supposed to be blind and it's supposed to be fair. If the crime is the same, why isn't the punishment? You tell me, does this sound like justice? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you'd like to see more case comparisons, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications.